when he issued an indefinite suspension of the life sentences of two sisters, Gladys and Jamie Scott. As Benjamin Jealous, the head of the NAACP, pointed out in the Huffington Post, they were each condemned to this extraordinary sentence as teenagers for a first-time offense in which $11 was stolen and no one was hurt. The Scott sisters were convicted of luring two men to be robbed by three teenage boys. The boys each received 8 years and served less than 3. Moreover, there are compelling reasons to believe the sisters are innocent. This case got national attention, especially when Governor Barbour made the stipulation that in order to win her freedom, Gladys Scott must donate a kidney to her ailing sister Jamie, something she had already planned to do. I would like to be able to commend Governor Barbour for rewriting these unjust life sentences, particularly after his outrageous statements that he didn't remember segregation in Mississippi, quote, as being that bad. But these women don't just deserve their freedom, they deserve a full pardon without the morally and legally questionable condition involving an organ transplant. Governor Barbour's act of clemency is tainted, like so many that have come before it by governors and presidents. The Founding Fathers knew that wise compassion was necessary to temper our justice system. In the Federalist No. 74, Alexander Hamilton wrote this about pardons. The criminal code of every country partakes so much of necessary severity that without an easy access to exceptions in favor of unfortunate guilt, justice would wear a countenance too sanguinary and cruel. But pardons have become a third-rail issue in American politics in the television age, and over the years, presidential compassion has all but evaporated. From 1945 to 1953, President Truman granted over 38% of the pardons from the petitions he received. From 1969 to 1975, President Nixon granted more than half of those he received. By the 1980s, that number fell below 19% under President Reagan. President George W. Bush granted less than 8% of the pardon petitions he received. And at this point, from the hundreds of petitions he has received, President Obama has issued just 9 pardons during his 2 years in office, all of them just last month. Barack Obama, former president of the Harvard Law Review, a constitutional law professor well-versed in the long litany of extreme cruelties visited upon African Americans and other defendants in our judicial system, has found in his heart room for compassion for only 9 victims of that system. 9. Is it really possible that a professed believer in a merciful God could find only 9 people deserving of his mercy in 2 years of looking for them in our imperfect judicial system? The Associated Press report on the Obama pardons says no one well-known was on the list, and some of the crimes dated back decades or had drawn little more than a slap on the wrist in the first place. So why have our last 2 presidents been so reluctant to right more of the obvious wrongs of the judicial system? One reason, the tainted pardons of the Clinton presidency. After issuing 178 pardons over his first 7 years in office, President Bill Clinton granted 218 in his last year, most of them on his last day. Those getting mercy, a fugitive financier, a drug trafficker, and a mail-order scam merchant, many with connections to people close to Bill and Hillary Clinton, and one involving a $400,000 contribution to the Clinton Library. In February of 2001, the New York Times wrote, "Even the most devoted and vociferous backers of Bill and Hillary Clinton are now refusing to defend their messy exit from the White House. Messy is a very, very kind word for a $400,000 pardon. A pardon is a rewrite of the overly harsh and unfair outcomes of the judicial system. It is not a favor to a friend or contributor from an outgoing president. It is not something that a president should fear using because of the mistakes of his predecessors. But President Obama clearly does fear using his clemency power because of the stain Bill Clinton left on it that has not yet worn off. Thanks to President Clinton's ugly abuse of the power and Presidents Bush and Obama's shallow political fear of using that same power, hundreds, no, thousands of men and women fully worthy of presidential pardons are suffering needlessly at our expense tonight in our federal penitentiaries. And the humanity of the presidency suffers with them.